Weird science
is the revolution.
Uncanny Valley #2, written by Tony Fleeks, Dave Buckner on art, letters by Pat Brousseau. And it's kind of a cool play, and I do like the art. The art has a kind of a weird, I can't say fully realistic, but a bit realistic, except for the cartoons. And that makes it even better. It's more of a grittier style. And then the cartoons, which are so cartoony.
Oh, absolutely.
That they're great. They are really cool with that. But this is a book that I didn't know about. I ended up grabbing it and reading the first issue, mainly because I did like Tony Fleeks with the Feral. And so I thought, okay, and it was kind of a crazy deal, him having yet another book come out. So I thought, okay, that's cool. And I did like the first issue. This book is not going to be anything that you haven't seen or read. It does seem very cliche. It does seem very tropey, but it's done well. I actually like it. And we've talked about things before. In certain books, if you use the cliches as a way to get people into the book quicker and then have fun along the, I'm for it. I don't mind that. And it feels, like I said, it feels like you've read it before, but I don't get mad of like, oh, this is that, because it mixes a lot of things. You even said that it's, Space Jam, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I said even something like crossover. You get a lot of those feels with this. And that's how we're going to continue. Because remember, you ended up having our main character end up being grabbed or almost grabbed by these birds, these crows, and his grandfather came flying in to save him, leaving the mom behind, which I thought that was crazy. But remember where the grandfather ended up saying
she can handle herself.
So as we're going in this, we find out we were calling him, and I was calling him Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, he is Yosemite Sam.
Even if he isn't Yosemite Sam, he's the combination of Yosemite Sam and like any miner, like old school, 49er miner type deal back in the day thing. And so he's really cool. But again, that's what I like about it. You almost could play the idea that if you go by cartoons, we're based because there's real guys, like he's an amalgam of a bunch that inspired a ton. And I do like him, Pecos Pete, which is a great name for a guy like that. I'm telling you, I thought that maybe they weren't going to name some of these characters so that we could just keep saying like, oh, that's Yosemite Sam, like that. But no, Pecos Pete works completely with that. So when you're doing this, you end up where they're at a diner, and it's more to pretty much give you the lay of the land. We're going to get some rules here, specifically the idea where, hey, why don't people look at you and know that you're a cartoon?
Yeah.
And it's funny how he explains it, because it goes a little bit too long, but I like to joke where he's like, listen, you ever see somebody that doesn't look quite right? Maybe they're
out of focus.
Their ears are too big. That's a cartoon. You just don't see them. And this is like Ghosts that they say, young big kids up to 6 years old, they're more in tune and they're not, influenced by people at that point. They can see ghosts. And it's the same with the cartoons. I like
little
that
kids can see us, but nobody
little
else.
Kids can see us. And again, it makes sense in the way that, like, why is that little kid pointing and laughing at that guy? Like, there's no real reason. Some little kids just end up doing wacky things, but that kind of explains the deal. And then I like, you have it like, oh, so you mean if, people who are crazy, they're probably cartoons. He's like, no, they're just crazy. They're just crazy. And, and so I do like that. So Oliver's trying to figure out, the lay of the land. And even then, it's going to be the personal touch is, and again, everything in this we kind of have seen, because then he says, well, where were you? Why'd you you ditched us. You ditched me and my mom, and my dad ditched us and all this. And he's like, he goes with the idea, well, I had things I had to do, then says I'm no good. But again, look at Pecos Pete. I keep saying it.
He's not exactly grandfather material.
You don't think that and again, we'll probably find out the crazy things that he's done. But you see that Oliver's kind of sad. But there's a connection already, because Pete says to this lady, comes, hey, do you want something to eat? And this is the thing. Oliver's being spiteful. He's being I don't want to eat.
I want my mom.
Yeah, I like where Pete's like, yeah, the kid will have. I like it's a kid's meal. I thought he was going to complain about it, but he says, I'll have a slice of cherry pie and a cup of coffee. He'll have the kids scrambled eggs and cheese and a glass of OJ. And I look around with this. How do you know I like scrambled eggs and cheese? He goes, everybody likes scrambled eggs and cheese. But it actually is a family thing and kind of nice. But he says, I was not very good at raising your mom. I wasn't there. But also points out, hey, why were the crows there? He doesn't ask. He doesn't say why. You have Pete say, you're kind of going to make everything better. You're kind of the chosen one. He's the half human, half cartoon. I'm sure they had, crazy, dreams of this. The idea of
you'll unite our worlds one day.
Yeah, exactly. He's the Anakin. So you end up having all this stuff going, and you haven't just giving the lay of the land. I liked it. I thought it was well done. I didn't get bored at any point in this, and we're not even at a part where we actually have any action. And I was enjoying it. Then we see the mom just take off out.
She runs over the trash can.
Holy moly! She just comes out. And in that, I thought it was a really cool play because you see like a cat holder, one of those mobile cat. I thought that they had a cat and that she was being nice and like she's not going to let. No. She captured one of the crows. And she ends up like this thing starts talking trash because she ends up trying to get a, all points bulletin out for Oliver. My son's missing. I don't know where he is. She, in this point, still thinks it's weird because I thought that she saw, but maybe she didn't, the idea that the grandfather went. She thinks that the crows. And there is a play, and I thought she was going to say something because she's talking to this crow. The crow through the talk actually kind of admits that they don't have Oliver. Like, we'll get him. I thought she's like, oh, good. Like, you don't have him then because of the way he says it. But you get this whole, the first is the name of the big villain. The first will not be denied. None will rest until they get what they need. Our world. And she's like, screw your world. And ends up like doing the play. It looks like she turns real quick so that this pet carrier flies against the door. It was hilarious. Or she slaps it, but I think she does the turn real quick.
I think she picked it up and threw it.
Because she's mad. She's driving it. It's crazy.
She's like, screw you.
So, it gets tossed. But in the meantime, then you end up having Pete and Oliver. They're heading off into the Old West. And here's when you said to me, when you went and read the first one, because you didn't read it when it came out. You saw it, thought, whatever, nothing. And then because we're talking about it, you caught up. And you could tell from the beginning when you end up having Oliver fall off that, when they jump off the bridge and they end up hitting pretty much like a Wile E. Coyote or any sort of character like that. And you thought, oh, he's a cartoon.
Yeah, because he didn't get hurt.
When you start heading into the Old West, I'm like, yeah, Wile E. Coyote.
I knew it as soon as I saw that road. I was like, oh, Wile E. Coyote.
And it's certainly just that road. You're going down that road. And that's where you still have some talk, and it's kind of funny because, boy, Oliver does not look great as a cartoon because he says, why don't I look like you? Why is it? And I like the small talk. You have Pete's like, so they got football at your school? And he's like, I don't play sports. Oh, okay.
Are you into cars or girls?
Girls. And he's like, yeah, just normal stuff. Bike racing, video games. I like cartoons. And boy, oh my God, it's the greatest. Where he is so happy and proud, and he goes,
I mean, cool cartoons.
We saw in his room, he has He-Man stuff.
Yep.
He has all that. Again, that's the worst of Pecos Bill. Pete, I mean, he is old school. He's Looney Tunes, right? He's just old school Looney Tunes deal. But
he's just like, oh,
yeah, he's like, he looks so sad. And he's like, hey, well, why don't I look anything like you? And he says, oh, this is what you do. And it's kind of funny, I guess in my mind, too, even though the physics of cartoons kind of work through Oliver, there'll be a time, I guess, that you'll have a moment where he's proud to be a cartoon and he'll do this, or it will give him a benefit because of the way. But maybe it even a little disguise. I don't know. But he ends up finding out that you put your finger in your mouth and kind of pull your ear to the side
blow on it or whatever.
And blow on your finger there on your thumb. And I've seen this in cartoons too when they do this. Yeah, you do. I've seen it where they want to make their head into a balloon and float away, stuff like that. So he does it. He goes and there's a pop, and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he's just got big monkey ears. Is what it looks like. I mean, he looks like it's not a great look.
No, not at all.
He has it there, and he's like, "Oh," and I love where he's like, "Can you hear the ocean? I can hear everything. Oh my God, I can hear everything." And the way I'm telling you, it goes that crazy when he shakes his head. You know that sound. It's so good, and he's back to normal. And it's really cool. I thought it was really cool. And he's like, oh, yeah, and that's where were you? I had responsibilities. Did you know my dad? And he's really upset that it seems like he didn't know much about his dad. So as they're driving, it's a weird play here because you end up where Pete's like, listen, I was not good. I wasn't a good dad. I didn't raise your mom the way I should, but I'm going to try to make up for that. I'm going to make up for all that. You're going to help me make up for all. Boom, the car just crashes.
An anvil lands on the hood.
An anvil lands on the hood. And it just crashed. And you end up where Pete's turned into a bullet as he shoots out.
It's so
Poor
funny.
Oliver has not, but they're there and, he's fine. And that's where you end up where a couple saves here are pretty cool where you have Pete grab onto him. Of course, he's hanging onto that one root that's outside. They're on a cliff face. Yeah, they end up seeing what looks like Wile E. Coyote. But the whole play, they're not quite what they say. The deal. You can't have that or you get in trouble. But it is, the whole play of that. And he's just trying to kill Pete and Oliver, kind of in my mind, just to do it. I mean, I don't know that it's anything more than this. I may be part of this first, but I think it's just kind of him doing
You're
it.
on my turf.
And it's funny when he ends up seeing him and he's like, he's so upset. Also, you have birds going around Oliver's head. I mean, you have all the classics.
I love the Wiley. His name's Dingo, by the way. I just love that. And he's just like standing like sideways on the cliff with a freaking stick of dynamite. And Pete's like, don't you dare do it, Dingo.
Yeah, I love it. And if you ask me, it's like a combo, and especially with Dingo, of Wile E. Coyote and Tasmanian Devil, especially when he starts running and things. But it's the kind of the classic. But he's going with, and I thought what was going to happen because, or Oliver's like, he's got dynamite. I thought it was going to be the play that you would have Pete say, don't worry, this stuff never works. And I thought it was going to blow up in his face. I thought that it was going to be that choke. It's not. They let go. I mean, Pete lets go, and they are pretty much, Grand Canyon territory. They are falling, and the exact angle of it is what you see when Wile E. Coyote falls all the time. You're expecting him to land with that puff of smoke way down there. But instead, there's more rules to this where you end up in a crazy. Seriously, what I thought what they were going to do is one of my favorite things. Is I thought that they were going to go, and if you time it, that you jump a foot before you hit, then you're only falling a foot.
I thought they were going to start like swimming through the air.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be some crazy thing like that. Then I thought there was problems because he didn't have his shoes tied. But he says to Oliver, what you have to do now is start whistling a tune, close your eyes, and start walking like you don't care. And he starts doing it, does it right away, and they're walking on air. And again, the play of this usually is, if you don't realize that you're walking on air, it's fine. The minute that you look, you're done. This happens all the time. It happens with, say, a Daffy Duck when he walks off the side of a building and he's just walking until he sees that he's gone off what's 10 feet down. It's so fun. But he ends up doing this.
Walking, they blink,
he's
and
just
they
walking,
fall.
and then when he falls, then you do it. So you end up where he does end up turning at one point, and then they do the classic fall, whereas
I love it so much, especially when you see Oliver's neck just elongates.
It so elongates with the and it's funny because what Pete says is the classic rule of this is you never get all the way across.
You just got to get close enough.
And he grabs onto the other side and then yells, "Eat lead, Dingo," and pretty much looks like he killed Dingo, but he doesn't
Dingo.
die. Yeah, I mean the thing just blows up then. And he's like, "Oh my God, did you just get him?" And he's like, "No, he'll be back." Like
you can't kill cartoons.
Yeah, he says you can't kill cartoons. Now, again, I think that what we'll have a play of, very much like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, is I think the first will have a way, like it'll be that way to be able to kill them, and that will be one of the things of the tension. I think that's why they brought up that you can't really kill them.
Oliver is half human, half cartoon. Could he possibly kill them?
Yeah, or it's weird because when I think about it is, are they going to play the thing of like a John Kent? The idea he's half human, half Kryptonian, which
he's
you think would mean that he's less. I mean, he's only half Krypton. Oh, he's more powerful, is he? All right.
I don't know if that math's matching.
No, I don't think that works ever, but I think that's what we might get, or he'll be able to do different things. Kind of cool. But then you see Dingo. Dingo didn't last dead. He stayed dead very long. He comes out, but there's also more dingoes. And this is where I'm telling you, it's like the Tasmanian Devil as they rev up their legs. But again, it's kind of the trope. So
just
all this there. Also, you have, again, this is really fun. I think that anybody who likes this sort of cartoon and real world, you have to get it. It's really good. You have Oliver go, where'd you get that gun? That was in my pocket. Again, anything he wants to pull out of his pocket, it's in there, including where they go up to this cliff face and he pulls out not only just the palette of paint, but he's also got his cabin. He's got it all going on.
Yes, he's in a full painter.
Yeah,
yes,
all the painter deal. And where'd you get that paint stuff? It was in my. He's about to say it. It's so good. I love that he has that cap.
It was in my. Oh,
it's so good. And what he's doing is classic. He's painting a tunnel, and you know the fact that what happens here is they're going to be able to go through it. And but when you end up having the dingoes, they will slam right into the side, which they do, which is classic. That's such classic. Everything really is the idea of playing all the classic stuff. And again, in it, you're going to say, okay, I've seen that a million times in Looney Tunes, but it always makes me giggle. And actually, like as a kid, I even kind of got like, oh, he's doing this. But now seeing it as an adult, it's very fun. I like they just walk in. And then, and really, too, with the art, it does such a good job because you don't need to see more than that real panned out deal of all three of those dingoes. Boom, right into there. That's what you get. You get smack, crash, and bang, I believe, which I wouldn't even be so sure that they're not their names. Would be kind of cool. But you end up where you then go off, and now we're in full out Disney, evil stepmom, wicked witch type deal where you have this big tower. And you have the class, like it looks classic in that, and you don't see yet, but it's almost like looks like a Maleficent type play, something like that. And you have this guy. I really like the guy who comes up, like that helper there, the skeleton guy. Looks pretty cool, almost like a Nightmare Before Christmas type deal. Mm-hmm. And like, hey, do we know where it's going? Because it says they escaped through a tunnel, which again, that seems like that kind of. Well, he says actually, I'll take it back. Doesn't seem. I said that I don't know that the coyote. I think that the dingoes are just doing their thing because they don't say, we got word from the dingoes. They say a portal has been opened. So they did open that. And you end up this first who we don't get to see, even if it's a guy, girl, we don't know yet. Like I said, I get very big Maleficent vibes. But when you see it, you also have a big staff they have that looks like it has like a twisted snake. But at the top, it is a paintbrush with red paint. It's really cool. Like everything is cool. And cool in the way that it's not real. Like the idea that I'm saying cool, it is kind of like, little kid cool, but it's cool. But yes, says we know where the portal's going. And then you have what seems to be the main bed, say, excellent, let's go greet them on the other side. So that's pretty crazy. And that is pushing it forward. I'm telling you, even talking about it, I liked it so much more. I think it's so fun.
Talking about it was so fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, it's one of those things when you see the stuff. I don't sit and laugh a lot at, comics or anything because I'm just a sourpuss. I'm a negative nasty, they say. But when I read this, it's not even just dialogue. It was just things that were happening. And I just you get that nostalgia type deal and something new that reminds you of a lot of things from the past that are all things that are good. Again, when you have something that is reminiscent of a lot of things, make them fun and good things. Like, make them things that people, when they see, I don't think many people are going to be like, oh man, this reminded me of Looney Tunes, and boy, I'm miserable now. Like, some of the things that people try to make you reminisce about aren't the greatest of things. You know what I mean? This is, though. It's fun. And now I want to see more of the world, and I want to see more of the different characters, what they can do, and I really want to see who this bad person is. So what would you give it?
Hey, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this.
I'm going 9.
Okay,
I
awesome.
really liked it.
You know what, Jim? I'll match you. We'll go
I
9.
really liked it. I'm telling you, it's one of those that if you wouldn't want to tell the cool kids that you like it because they might make fun of you, but I had a lot of fun. I thought it was really well done and paced well. You got info. You got some feels. I thought it was really cool. I want to see the mother get involved more. Oh, yeah, there's a ton of laughs.
Weird science is the revolution.